The book kind of centers around the sexual assault that I experienced while I was UCSD. And it was on camera and it was distributed and millions of people saw it. And so it wasn't a secret, but I never spoke about it. It's like everybody knew, everybody, but nobody would say anything to my face. And then now I'm finally writing about it in the book. And then it's kind of scary that that's going to go, but it's also the most powerful thing ever. It's like the saying goes for recovery is you're as sick as your secrets. So just might as well say them all.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Fetishized podcast. I am your host, Dr. V, triple board certified entity of performance and longevity experts. Now, today's podcast, we go over the consequences of living a life that is inauthentic to you, a life where you don't feel safe, loved, and connected. We start wearing masks, and those masks that become our ego, if we add to feel, think, and live from that space, we will actually cause disease in our body. Now, before you get into the podcast, if you are hearing this podcast, welcome in. This is a place where every week I have the opportunity to interview thought leaders and experts in the world of longevity, biohacking, and really potential to bring you the tips, the tactics, and the techniques for you to elevate your life. And now, if you want some free resources, please check out mythrivestate.com/biohack and receive free resources on longevity and performance, and also get access to the digital version of me where you can ask me any question you want to elevate your life in these areas. Also, if you haven't already, pick up my book, Thrive State, at thrivestatebook.com. Now, if this podcast has given you value over the course of the last couple of years I've been doing it, and it has elevated your life, and it's on any site, please do us a favor, subscribe to this podcast, share this episode with your friends and family members, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Now, on to today's podcast. We interview a Asian icon. She was in Playboy magazine. She's been doing import modeling. She has been, quote unquote, fetishized. And that's the name of her new book, Fetishized. It's none other than Kaila Yu. Kaila has really been an icon in the Asian American media space, really built a career in television media modeling. But today she explains that so much of that is building from a place of inauthenticity and a mask. And today we not only dive into the science of why putting on a mask and living your life through that ego space drives chronic disease in your body, but also can lead you to feeling depressed mentally, emotionally, and getting physically as well. You're going to definitely enjoy this podcast. And don't forget to pick up the book, Fetishized. And here with me today, the author, Kaila Yu.
Kaila Yu, welcome to the Thrive State podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Wow, what a treat. Your name was familiar, and I just realized, and before we hopped on this call, we found out that we both went to the same college at the same time. How amazing is that?
Yeah. I mean, wait, what college were you at? I was at Muir.
Oh, I was at Revelle, but we were
There's
San Diego.
Revelle's the smart kids college, and I think Muir was the slacker college. Yeah, decided.
Well, congratulations on this book. It's really cool to see somebody from my past just do so well in life and career. You know, diving into your journey, I think, is going to be very beneficial for the people here. Now, before we dive into that journey, there's a portion of the show called the 5 to Thrive. 5 questions, almost game show style. Each answer is worth 1,000 points, and answer in less than 30 seconds each. This will kind of prime the interview moving forward. If you win the 5 to Thrive, meaning you get 5,000 points, you get a healthy, nutritious meal on me the next time we meet.
Okay. Like that, a healthy, nutritious meal.
Kaila Yu, are you ready to play the 5 to Thrive?
Yes.
All right, here we go. Question number 1 is, what is one thing you believed about yourself at 20 that you no longer believe?
I mean, I had no self-love at 20. So I have a abundance of it now and still working to grow it. And yeah, I don't know if the answer to the question. I believe that I did not love myself. Yeah.
Great. Question number 2 is, if you could give your teenage self, a one sentence advice, what would that be?
Know that you are loved and you can also give your love to yourself.
Oh, amazing. Question number 3 is, what is the boldest thing you have done in the name of self-expression?
I don't know if this is PC for the podcast, but I took off my clothes for Playboy. That's kind of what the book is about. So, yeah.
All right. Can't wait to dive in. Number 4, if self-worth was a song, what would be your anthem right now?
Self-worth were a song. I'm trying to think of song titles. I'm not a fan of the song, but Firework is like an expression of like great, loud expression of yourself and freedom. I think it's symbolism of freedom.
Amazing. Last question for 5,000 points, as you got the other 4 correct, is fill in the blank. I feel most powerful when
I feel most powerful when I let myself take time off and recharge.
Amazing. Well, Kaila, thank you for being on this podcast. I think your story is going to help so many different people. But, I just to kind of tease what people will get, I mean, you just mentioned you were a Playboy model, and we can go deep into that. But your whole journey has really been this journey to rediscover self and to love yourself again. So can you talk to me about kind of why this book, Fetishized, which is just coming up around the corner, and why now?
Well, the book was a total accident, honestly. I think I got to a point where, like, in my entire 20s, I was chasing validation, and it led me to all these careers that were ultimately not fulfilling. So after I got sober, I kind of just, like, really started taking the next indicated action, like, from authenticity, and it led me to becoming a writer. And then I was doing travel writing, which I was super passionate about and having a great time with. And then the pandemic happened, and then all my trips and all my articles and work were canceled. So then I was disappointed, but these days you have to be on social media no matter what industry you're in. It can benefit you even if you're a plumber. So I was growing my social media, and I had always wanted to learn TikTok because I saw how it launched so many people's career. So I had all the time in the world to learn TikTok in the pandemic. And I really just like fully made that my mission. And me and my best friend did it together, and we just like put out 5 videos a day trying everything. Like, I really wanted to try to make a travel channel work, but that wasn't working. We tried cooking, we tried food. But when I started posting about the 2000s Asian American experience, like super, super niche, those videos started to go viral. So I hadn't even thought it back to my career during that time. Like during that time, I was an import model and just did, a lot of that pinup kind of girl work. And I thought back to it fondly, but I didn't think of it anymore. And then I started just talking about my experiences with that time. And then about a year went by, and the Atlanta spa shootings happened. And there was basically a sex addicted white man went and shot up a couple of massage parlors, and 8 of them were killed and 6 of them were Asian women. It was clearly targeted and clearly like racially and fetishization, sexually motivated. I don't think the media has ever really like recognized it to be so, but all the Asians knew, and all the Asian women definitely knew. So I think that was like a really big wake up call. And then I started to reflect back, like, how did I contribute kind of to the Asian fetish? Because I really leaned into some of those stereotypes because they benefited me when I was 21. And that just started the reflection that like ultimately inspired the book.
So, I hear a couple of things, stand out. Import modeling, it looks like you were also the lead singer for a girl band as well, doing a lot in the media space, but in the space of, being fetishized, a Playboy model. Was there any additional things that you did around that time that was like highly sexualized in terms of the work?
Yeah, I mean, I was pursuing acting like casually at the time, as everybody does who lives in Hollywood and is in entertainment. And all the roles that were available, number one, half of them or 75% of them required you to fake an accent, which I can't. I'm bad at faking an Asian accent. And then it was prostitute or massage parlor girl. The end. Like that was all, or a kung fu fighter. And were no multifaceted roles like being auditioned for. They were very, very rare.
Mm. Who was the person in her early 20s to desire to be desired externally?
Who is?
Yeah. What was she thinking? How did
Oh, well, the whole thing
within herself? Yeah.
yeah. When I was growing up, I grew up in Upland, California, and I think it was like 3-4% Asian at the time. And I just felt so invisible. I was invisible. Guys didn't ask me out. I was nerdy. I write about this experience in my book when like I fell in love with this guy in junior high and like he ended up finding out about my crush and he was like, "Ew, that dog is into me." And he said it in front of a bunch of people. So it was like reconfirming my fears of being undesirable. And the same thing in high school, nobody asked me out. I didn't have any boyfriends. I didn't like go to any dances. So, and I was boy crazy. So I wanted attention from the boys and I didn't get any. And then there were no Asian female role models at the time in the media. And the internet had just started and there was this model called Sung-hee Lee and she was famous. The equivalent. Well, she was like one of the first internet famous people that I was aware of the first one that was Asian, certainly. And all the guys were in love with her. And then I thought I want to be like her because like, I just feel invisible. Yeah. And from that point on, I just like voraciously followed every magazine, every calendar, everything. Like I bought it, followed her website and just like became a super fan. And when I started to pursue that, it did feel like validation. You know, when you're that empty, it feels like that, but it was never like it would validate me. It was never like, it's like eating chips when you need a steak, you know, it just
Right.
wasn't. Yeah.
So I imagine that went on for a little bit. What was it or what internally happened that allowed this sort of opening up to be able to maybe see the wound of not feeling good enough or not feeling worthy to start doing the work of opening yourself up?
Honestly, that was decades later. So, I mean, during that whole time, I mean, I had really bad drug problem. So I only got sober. Well, I got sober from drugs probably like 14 years ago, but I'm 11 years sober from everything else, like alcohol. But it was only until I got sober that I started doing any kind of inner work. I don't think like true inner work is possible when you're like snorting cocaine on the weekends. Like probably not really able to get very deep into yourself. So yeah, once I got sober and then I kind of got into the recovery community and that's all about like looking at yourself and your past and just being very honest and cleaning up messes with people of which I had a lot. Yeah.
You know, in my own way, I'm starting to wake up myself as well. And, you know, my audience knows my story. You know, I use the mask of whatever an Asian guy could get in terms of attention, which is to become a doctor.
Mhm.
And I was using the white coat and the 2 letters after my last name to build the mask, not hide, you know, of hiding who I was authentically. It was this person that also didn't feel good enough, that did not feel loved, that did not feel self-worth. And for me, I actually got physical disease from that. And we're starting to recognize now that people who have this pain, who live in their ego space, are more prone to getting chronic disease as other people. And so many people would mask the pain in so many different ways. For me, pornography, being addicted to work, etc. What were some of those things, in addition to maybe the drugs or how you were living your life, that had a impact on you? Were there any physical symptoms or any other mental health symptoms that you know started to come to surface?
Yeah, definitely depression and dating horrible men and the rampant drug use. I mean, people like when I post videos from the 2000s, like I get a lot of messages from people saying, "Oh, so nostalgic. Wish we could go back." And I'm like, I don't wish I could go back to my 20s. I was miserable. I'm much happier now. Yeah, it just felt like life was chaos all the time. And yeah, always searching for validation, the accomplishments, whatever I was pursuing at the time, whatever like with the modeling, it was like, what magazine cover could I get? And then with the music, it's like, oh, what like tour can we get on, etc.
I hope you're enjoying the podcast so far. if you are, I just wanted to let you know, join our community. There's so many free resources and a great community of people that desire health, happiness, human potential, to have more in their life, more health, more energy. And when you have those two things together, you could create more happiness, more abundance, whether it be financial, romantic, all these things in your life. And if you're just starting out, you don't know where to go, just sign up for thrivestatestarter.com, because in there you're going to get a bundle of information that includes a longevity ebook, a longevity and performance resource guide, lecture notes that come from my keynotes at Google, at Fortune 500 companies, all the insights in that keynote in lecture slide form given to you. And then finally, breathwork. I share 3 powerful breathwork exercises to access calm, which really gives you clarity and peace during the day, to access energy if you need to wake up and really motivate yourself, and finally a breathwork routine that you could do every single morning so that you could be very intentional with how you create that day. You could find all this stuff delivered free to your inbox at thrivestatestarter.com. And our community is growing. If you want to be a part of a community of people that desire the Thrive State, that are really in Thrive State themselves, and help other people along with that, you could be a part of the community. You can get group coaching from me. We do breathwork sessions, meditation sessions, and you also get to drop in and participate in podcasts in the future. You could find more about the community at mythrivestate.com. That's mythrivestate.com. So check out those resources. You're not going to be disappointed, and please enjoy the remainder of this podcast.
Yeah. You talk so much about sort of the immigration experience of not necessarily fitting in or being seen, but I also wonder, what it was like for you at home with Asian parents, because certainly our generation of parents weren't really given the tools to demonstrate love and affection and allow their child to be who they are. So can you talk maybe about your upbringing and maybe how it potentially contributed to those beliefs of not being good enough?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a chapter about my dad in the book. And by the way, my dad is like the kindest, most gentle, he loves animals and he loves to garden, but he's also very introverted. And my mom's like a powerful tiger mom, and she rules the household. And my mom and all her family were taught, I guess, to criticize the kids, and that makes them achieve. But it worked. It did create this huge drive in me that if I want something, I will go after it aggressively. But I was told all the time, basically, you're not enough. You're not enough. Look at them. Look at them. Or if you get an A-, that's a problem. But she taught me a great work ethic. And then at home, my dad, I'm a person who really needs words of affirmation. That's probably my love language. And I did not get any of that at home. And Asian parents, they love their kids probably more than anyone. They'll give up their lives for their kids, but they don't tell you they love you. That's not a thing. And my dad certainly wasn't saying oh, you're beautiful and you're so, that's just not a thing. Well, not a thing in the families I knew. Yeah.
So in terms of your journey, let's talk maybe a little bit about some of the specifics of what's happened. I heard you were talking about the 12-step. What kind of opened up for you as you were going through that process?
I mean, I think that was just totally life-changing, because basically in that you tell your entire life history to one person, including your worst secrets. And usually that person has heard worse. So then it makes it okay, this isn't even that big of a deal compared to some of the other stuff out there. And then in writing down all this stuff, you get to see the patterns that you make. They're very clear, especially when you're talking about it. And then another part's just going over your actions that might have harmed other people, even inadvertently, and just going back and cleaning up your side of the street there and apologizing and making amends. So yeah, it's so powerful, and just seeing your past in a unbiased light.
Yeah. What was that process for you? Because I'm about to, go and have a premarital workshop, and I'm just about to, actually in a couple of hours, uh, reveal skeletons that I felt shame for so long. Can you talk a little bit about maybe going through that process yourself? Were there anything from your past that, you felt shame or guilt from, and what process that was like to release that and to forgive yourself?
Well, not to get super dark, but there's like the book kind of centers around the sexual assault that I experienced while I was UCSD. And it was on camera and it was distributed and millions of people saw it. And so it wasn't a secret, but I never spoke about it. It's like everybody knew, everybody, but nobody would say anything to my face, or I'd get comments online. And I didn't speak about it for decades. And then I started speaking about it when I got into therapy, and I told like my sponsor and all my other recovery people. And then now I'm finally writing about it in the book. And then it's kind of scary that that's going to go out, but it's also the most powerful thing ever. It's like the saying goes for recovery is you're as sick as your secrets. So just might as well say them all, because then you'll learn there's nothing, more powerful than that.
Yeah. I find that to be true now. There's just holding on to things that energetically clog up your energetic space. So those feelings of guilt, those feelings of shame, they kind of clog up your energetic space. And anytime you want to just be the most authentic person that you are, to live in your truth, you almost have to allow the person or that ego that wants to keep you safe, that's feeling the regret and feeling the shame, to kind of truly be seen so that it could be released and no longer in the driver's seat of your consciousness.
It's interesting because I'm doing a little bit of therapy, and my therapist likes IFS therapy, which is like internal family systems. And it's all about seeing these little parts. So there's like my rageful part, or my part that's very desperate for validation, and just seeing them, observing those parts and being like, you're okay. Like, I see you. You are valid for wanting this love. And, because I think usually I would just push them away and be like, okay, I'm going to achieve this so I don't have to hear this voice, basically.
Yeah. So talk to us about what that's like. Some people feel that, when you're fully healed, and, to be honest, I think it's a lifelong
I don't think there's any such thing. Yeah.
evolution. But do those voices ever disappear?
No, I think the point is that what I'm learning from my therapist is that these are all parts of you, and they are always going to be there, but their voices might quiet down when they feel like they're seen. I think their voices get louder when you're not listening and when you're like shutting them down. And yeah, I think it's really just a lot of that's like self-acceptance. Because there's one thing in recovery people do is like we find out what our defects are and try to better them. But if you fight against your defect, like to try to make it better, that actually sometimes makes it stick more. There's almost like, okay, I accept that this is something, like this is a coping mechanism that worked for me when I was like a child, and it worked very well. Thank you for like helping me that way. And then that kind of acceptance of it gives it space to like release itself.
What would be some practical initial steps for people to want to wake up and change? It would seem like for me, it was a wake up call of losing yet another relationship and depression and physical disease in my body that started the process of the wake up. What was it like for you? What was the first thing that you did in terms of like, okay, I'm going to sign up for 12 step or get therapy? What would be some of those initial sort of awakening moments or steps someone could take if they're like living a life that isn't aligned to who they really are?
It's hard because also back in the recovery community, you never know what someone's bottom is. Like someone might lose their house and like be homeless, and still that's not good enough to wake them up to get sober. And someone might just like have a bad day and that's their wake up call, I think. But if you want to change, I mean, first of all, I feel like the 12 steps like covers so much besides addiction, and probably everyone could qualify for it. like one of the 20 programs out there. But I feel like if you're feeling dissatisfied about your life, I think just getting out there and exploring like different books. Like for me, something I'm reading right now that's really powerful is like Love Yourself Like Your Life Depended on It. I think that's what it's called. And this is all just about self-love. And I'm a person who thinks they have quite a lot of self-love after all. Like I've been working at this very hard for 10 years. But no, I'm discovering that, yeah, I still have more, there's still more to go. That's probably, I think it's infinite. I don't think you can ever have too much self-love. But this book just has you. Oh, another thing, I think this is more practical. I think like meditation's a really good way to like find out what's going on with you if you're like taking your noise off and listening to yourself. So maybe that's a practical way. Like if you're feeling stuck, maybe add a small meditation process to start.
Yeah, I always say that whatever we're going through in life, whether it's really pleasant or whether it's not, what I'm beginning to learn is what we feel inside, and our perspective inside is a program that is running. And we could either be running a program that sees life as happening to us versus seeing life and seeing ourselves as the infinite love that we are. Because there have the moments that I'm like, oh my God, we are love. We are connected to something so much bigger. In that state, you just feel limitless, like you could do anything. And God dang, we are alive and we have this breath. And so, I'm definitely, beginning to be more spiritual. And then it gets to be fleeting sometimes. And when that disappears, like, oh my God, what's going on? But I think the more we could tap into understanding that our reality and our life experience is, all depends on the lens in which we wear.
Yeah, it is a choice ultimately. Like it's like the Lincoln quote, right? Like people are as happy as they choose to be. Something to that effect is the quote. But yeah, I think what helps with that too, what helped me with that was like making gratitude lists every day, because I can quickly forget how like amazing and privileged my life is and get stuck on, oh, look, she got like this award and, whatever.
I think this is very strong and impactful work. I think the work to remember ourselves is probably the best healing journey anyone could go on. And anything you think that you wanted in life, whether it be a car, a house, the attention, the validation, is probably parts of us that have gotten wounded because we've forgotten that we are love. And so I believe the more and more of us that share this story, we all get to understand the beautiful human experience that we all get to unravel. So what are you hoping the biggest kind of takeaway somebody would get after reading this book?
Well, first of all, I think that fetishization is not harmless, because there is a perception out there like, oh, isn't it a compliment by like a guy who might be trying to gaslight you if you're complaining about the Asian fetish? Because we've already seen that it can lead to violence, and violence against Asian women is underreported. And second of all, just like I hope it gives space for people to feel more comfortable sharing their stories, no matter how much they might not want to share these parts of themselves. I found it, well, I guess I don't because it's not out yet, but like I found just like the people reading it so far, it's been healing. And the writing of it was so healing. So I think if you have secrets, just like find someone to tell them to. Someone you trust. It has to be a safe space. Yeah.
Absolutely. So the book is about to come out. And so can you share with the listeners where they can pick up their copy and where to find you online?
Yeah. So the book is called Fetishized, A Reckoning with Feminism, Beauty, and Yellow Fever. And you can find it at all stores on August 19th. And I'm Kaila Yu, and you could just find me on all social and website by my name.
Amazing. Kaila, let me ask you your last question. I mean, you've certainly gone through different modalities. That's a part of your healing process. But thus far, what has been your best medicine?
My connection with God. And I don't want to say God like a Christian. I'm kind of non-denominational. Is that the word? I lean Buddhist. But just having a connection to something greater than yourself, maybe it's nature, I think that's been the most powerful and healing thing for me.
So beautiful. We could do another podcast on that because I'm finding that to be true myself. And so, Kaila, thank you for your sharing your story, your bravery, your courage, and for sharing with other people what's possible when you love yourself and get to reveal who you are inside.
Thank you so much for having me.
I hope you enjoy that episode of the Thrive State podcast. And if you're finding that this content is really helping you and your family members, please consider supporting our mission and our cause of elevating health, happiness, and human potential for people all over the world. You can do so by making sure that you subscribe to this podcast, sharing it with your friends and family members, and leaving us a 5-star review wherever podcasts are heard. All these things are going to really help elevate the show and to give us the resources to continue to bring more content just like this to yourself as well as the people that you love. If you haven't already, you might want to consider joining our community. We actually have a community where people get to engage with me in group sessions where we do breathwork, meditation, where we do challenges together, really to be able to get us access to health, happiness, human potential so that we could have longevity and performance in our life as well. You can check out our community at mythrivestate.com. That's mythrivestate.com. And if you haven't already, pick up a copy of my book, Thrive State. It really gives you all the tools, the pillars that you need to create a blueprint to control the energetics of your life. Who are you? How you show up in the world? The choices that you consistently make create an energy in your body, and you can control this. And when you can control that, you also control the messages you give to your DNA that gives you access, again, to optimal health, longevity, and peak performance. And let me also just share a free gift to you. If you haven't already, please pick up my longevity and performance bundle where I share lecture notes, ebooks, breathwork exercises, and longevity and performance resources at thrivestatestarter.com. Thank you so much for being a part of this community. Thank you for helping us grow. Remember always, my friends, that you are your best medicine.